Welcome to Satsang. Let's start with just a few minutes meditating together quietly. Allow the eyes to close. And along with the eyes, allow the senses that are focused on the world outside to shift to the world inside. Allow the awareness to shift to the breath. But don't bring it to the breath in the chest, in the rib cage, but rather bring the awareness to the breath low in the abdomen. Bring it to a place just a couple of inches below the belly button, called the Swadhisthana chakra. And allow yourself to take your breaths from there. Inhaling from that sacred energy center, just a few inches below the navel. As you inhale, feel the breath that comes in activate and merge with, combine with the energy of that energy center. So take the inhalations from there, and on the exhalations, allow yourself to drop back down into that center. If you find that the mind wanders, you can add a very simple mantra to it. You can chant so on the inhalations and hum on the exhalations. So it means literally, I am that, the capital T that. I am one with the universe. I am one with all to which I pray. I am one with all upon which I meditate. I am one with all. I am all. So on the next inhalation, instead of having the breath expand the abdomen outward, allow the breath to rise within you. So on the inhalations, that breath is going to rise. You're going to carry it gently with the intention from the Swadhisthana chakra up through the being. So you carry that breath and it rises gently on a slow, unbroken inhalation up through the rib cage and lungs, through the throat, and all the way to our Agya chakra, our third eye center, just between the eyebrows. And then exhale and drop back down. Exhaling back down into the Swadhisthana chakra. Take the next few minutes of inhalations and exhalations like that. If you can't carry the breath easily on an unbroken, smooth breath up to the third eye, don't worry. Just carry it as high as you easily can. And then let go and drop back down. But keep the attention and awareness focused on that third eye that's drawing the breath upward. So even if the breath doesn't make it all the way, the intention is there. And then exhale back down. into that center of the self. Rising higher and higher on each inhalation. Sinking deeper and deeper on each exhalation. Gently and slowly bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands lightly into your closed eyes. Slowly open your eyes into the palms of your hands and lower your hands. Welcome to Satsang again. As always, we'll start with a question that's come in advance and then open it up to any questions that anyone here may have. So many beautiful questions. Maybe we'll take two to start then. It's important to have compassion for those who aren't able to be here physically and send in questions by email and online to connect with us in spirit. How do you protect your energy from negativity when you're working in surroundings that are full of pain and suffering that you witness all the time? So there's two answers to this question. One is on the internal level of how we work with our energy, and then the other is on a very practical, literal level, and I'll give you both. So first of all, one of the things that we talk about in here a lot is that as energetic beings, there's two things we do. We receive and we transmit. Most things of energy tend to only do one or the other. So for example, this light is transmitting energy, but it's not receiving energy. If the bulbs went out, it means it's transmitting it to us. It's not receiving it from us. If the bulbs went out, we could all stand here all we wanted and give energy to the lamp, but it's not going to work. It needs a new light bulb. Or if it got disconnected from the electricity, we could stand here and we could, give it all of our energy, but it still wouldn't make any light, because it's not a receiver, it's a transmitter. When it's functional and the bulbs work and it's plugged into the wall, it transmits. Most of our devices transmit. We do both. We receive and we transmit. And the truth is, we're doing both all the time. But intention plays a very important role. There are certain times in which you really want to be focused on receiving energy. Times in which, because otherwise a lot of times our batteries they start to get empty. Our batteries start to die. It's like the mobile phone, your battery is dying. Suddenly you can't hear very well. This is happening, that's happening. Same way in our lives, if our batteries are depleted, our spiritual batteries, our energetic batteries, this is where you find that we lose our tempers, we get lost in impulse, we're not able to properly live in the truth of who we are. So we know that there are times that we feel spiritually energy depleted, times that we feel full. And so that power of intention is very, very strong. When you are someplace where you feel you are being filled, that your depleted energy is being filled, soak it up. Intentionally, like really bring the intention to being an energetic receiver at that time. You're sitting in the arti, Pujya Swamiji is singing. You are sitting in the lap or the arms of a loved one. You're watching a sunset over the banks of Ganga and listening, whatever it may be, just moments. Moments that are spiritually very deeply filling. Soak it up. You're energetically receiving anyway, but bring your intention to it. Bring that focus to it. Really, really picture yourself soaking up that energy. And then there are times in which you don't want to soak up the energy. You're sitting in a board meeting and people are screaming at each other. Maybe they're screaming at you. Maybe you are walking through a certain area in the night to get back to where you live, and it's an area that's kind of full of people who are drunk or on drugs or selling their bodies for sex or whatever it may be, but people whose energy is not something that you really want to take into yourself. You can have compassion for them, but you don't want to take it in. So at those times, intentionally, you want to go within, say, all right, at this moment, I'm going to switch on my energy transmitting device. And again, at all times, we're transmitting, we're receiving. There's no one-way channel in our energy. But that power of our intention is very, very effective. And if you focus in certain times on transmitting instead of receiving, but don't focus on it in terms of changing them. So it's not about, I'm going to go into these situations that are negative and I, with my energy, am going to transform them. Because if that's the intention, the dilemma is what ends up happening is your focus is on changing others, which is rooted in this awareness of, I think there is something wrong with others, which is rooted in an awareness of there is something wrong with the present moment. And what our spiritual practice is about, what our meditative practice is about, what getting grounded and anchored in that experience of an expanded awareness is, it's all perfect. Or even more deeply, it all just is. There's no adjective that works, because it just is. You become in a state of just isness. And that isness is infinite and it feels perfect in you, but you can't label it because it's so labelless. And so if I walk into a situation with my mind saying, I'm going to fix this situation, A, that means there's a problem with the situation. B, it means I'm separate from the situation. I'm separate from others. I'm the one who's got to fix it. They're the one who's the problem. I'm the answer. So it creates separation. It also, by the way, gets very tiring. It's one thing to do it in one situation. You're going in to visit a friend who's dying. The family is around suffering. You're going to be with them for a period of time. Yeah, by all means, think in your mind, how much love can I bring to this moment? But if you're talking about every day, all day, if your mind is on, I'm going to fix all of these people, A, you feel separate from them. B, you feel very frustrated. And C, you get very tired energetically. So when we talk about energetic transmission, it's not transmission with the intention of I'm fixing others. It's transmission simply with the intention of I am creating my own psychic field here. I have to move through my own energetic field that I know does not end with my physical body. I know that I'm picking up the energy in the universe. Therefore, I'm going to transmit into that energy. The example that I love about this, that for me makes it very vivid, is the example of the wetsuit. Okay? Now, has anybody here ever worn a wetsuit? Raise your hand if you've ever actually worn a wetsuit. Oh, good, a whole bunch of you. Great. So here's what's interesting. It's called a wetsuit because you actually are wet. A lot of us think, well, you wear a wetsuit, it keeps you dry. It doesn't. Here's how a wetsuit works. It's brilliant science. It allows in a tiny amount of water, just a tiny, tiny amount of water, that your body heat automatically warms up. And then it keeps that tiny amount of water in the suit. So you could be in the ocean, which is freezing, but you are in an environment of warm water. Okay? Now hold that metaphor in your mind, because that's what I'm talking about in terms of energetic transmission. You are transmitting into the world around you because that's the world you need to move through. It's like a very good friend of mine from California used to come to India when her daughters were very young. They're now graduated from graduate school. But in any case, her youngest daughter was very, very sensitive to sights and smells and everything. And when they would walk through the marketplace that was just full of so many smells, her young daughter was just overwhelmed. And so one day they bought her this beautiful aromatherapy bottle. And she would walk through the marketplace just spritzing her aromatherapy. Now, she knew it wasn't changing how it smelled coming out of that restaurant. It wasn't changing how it smelled of the, poop on the road over there. But it was changing her own little environment that she had to walk through the marketplace in, that made it a much more pleasant aroma therapeutic experience. So in the same way, transmit into an energetic world that you want to move through. Let that be your intention. Now, the beautiful aspect is it is going to change the world around you. That's a very beautiful byproduct. But if you go into it thinking that that's what you're going to do, you become too much of the doer. And being the doer, being the actor, being the one who's making things happen, keeps us separate from actually the grace that is doing. It keeps us separate from the world in which we are doing. And it keeps us separate from the truth, which is we're not the doers, we're just the instruments. And so focus on transmitting energy in those moments. It will impact the world around you. That's what our world needs today. That's actually all our world needs today, is people to be connected to their own ability to actually transmit love, compassion, truth, connection to God. If we actually all moved through the world transmitting that, and those who didn't have any turned on their energetic receivers, we would live in a completely different world. So transmit so that you are not receiving the negativity. So that, like wearing the wetsuit in the ocean, you've warmed up the water around you. And that's the experience that you're moving through the world with. And more beautifully than the wetsuit, as I said, you do actually end up giving that energy to the world. You don't end up giving warm water to the ocean. But you do end up giving energy to the world. But especially you prevent yourself from absorbing the negative energy of the people around. On a very, very, very specific but very practical and helpful level, those who do energy work, those who are really surrounded day in and day out by a lot of negativity in which we are giving of ourselves a lot. Nature, plants, dirt, leaves, water. As much as you can, ground your energy. It works beautifully. It was actually a technique taught to me by a very, very powerful energy healer many, many, many years ago when I was starting to do this work. And he said, leaves, water, dirt. And it's very easy because pretty much wherever you are, you can have a potted plant near you. You can find a potted plant, or you can walk outside to where there's, just touch the leaves, get your hands in the dirt. At the bare minimum, there's always going to be a bathroom with a sink. Run your hands in running water. That regrounding, literally, is a huge energetic impact. When you take literal electricity that isn't grounded, you get shocks. When I first moved to India, very few places actually had grounding. And I would touch my laptop and it would you'd get all kinds of current would come through it. You touch certain parts of it, it would actually, do this to you. Still, sometimes it happens. Because that grounding isn't always yet 100% full, 100% perfect, 100% complete. So literally the ground grounds electricity. And so when you're working with your own energy, it's a very, very, very powerful technique. So if your workplace situation does not enable you to be, for example, barefoot and near leaves and dirt, at least at the end of every day, as much as you can, on your lunch hour, go out, even if it's literally just like the little potted dirt area with the trees in the parking lot. Even places that are cemented over, even just for decoration, tend to have areas of dirt and plants. Just get your shoes off. Put your feet in there. Touch the leaves. Touch the plant. Hold the dirt. If you don't want to take your shoes off, okay, hold it with your hands. But it's a very, very, very powerful, immediate way to just ground your own energy and to remove that negative energy from you. So before I take another that's come in advance, I'm happy to open it up to any questions that anyone here has, if there are any. Yeah.
I always wonder about what happens to the human body when the energy leaves the body.
What happens to the body when the soul leaves the body?
What happens to the energy? Sorry.
Oh, to the energy. Well, there's different levels of energy that we have. The body has lots of different energy, and it's a wonderful topic, but it's a topic for a much longer discussion of all of the different energies that we have in the body. Some of the energy travels with us, connected to the soul. Some of the energy was a product, literally, of the body. That energy goes back to the elements. It's never destroyed, never dies. But when it's not being regenerated, so for example, take something as simple as heat. Take the most basic level of energy, heat. So the body gives off heat. Okay? It's a very basic level of energy. All of our bodies have heat. It's a product of the physical body. It's not a product of your soul. It's not a product of the subtle body. It's a product very specifically of the physical body and the blood that's running through it. When we die, the body stops generating heat. The heat that was in the body slowly, 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 slowly dissipates into the air. The body becomes cold because it's no longer generating more energy, but the heat that was in the body has just gone into the atmosphere and dissipated into other forms of energy. So all of the different forms of energy that we have, from again the most basic heat of the body up to the highest, the energy of the soul, which is energy. When we say Shakti, that energy, that power, when we say you are one with the Creator, one with the creation, well, that's a power. That power of creation, the power of the Creator to create the creation in us, Shakti. But that's a power of the soul. It's not a power of my biceps. It's not that people with big biceps are, more connected to the Creator and to that energy of Creator than people with small biceps are. That power of creation is our divine connection to the divine, to the ultimate Creator. That power goes with us. So all of the energy and all of the different types of energy stays. Some stays with the body temporarily and then dissipates. Some stays with the soul, travels with it. Some energy is of the soul. Some energy is of the subtle body traveling with the soul. But different things happen to different aspects of it. But what's important is the energy while we're here. Because that determines what happens after we die. How you live is determining what happens after you die. We're writing our destinies. We're co-creating our lives, our present, yes, and our future, the future in this life and the future in next life. When we talk about predetermination, well, a lot of times people think that predetermination means 10,000 years ago, like as though somehow referred to prehistoric. But pre just means before right now. The steps you took to walk into this room determined the fact that you were going to be sitting here. Predetermined. The idea that came to your mind after Ganga Arti, if you come up from the Arti or from wherever you were coming from, that came to your mind that said, I know. Let's go to satsang. Let's delve into that truth. Let's find that truth, live with that truth, rather than something that came into the mind and said, I know, let's go for pizza. Because there's people sitting in a pizza shop right now. So some people made this choice, some people made that choice. That determines not just where you are in this moment, but it determines how you're going to feel an hour from now. But it also determines how you make decisions in your life. And therefore, even the bigger picture of our lives. So every moment, we are predetermining, not just our next moment, but we are predetermining our destiny. And so when you talk about energy, don't worry about what's going to happen to this energy. That which is supposed to go with you will go with you. That which is of the body will stay with the body. The energy knows what to do when you die. The question is, while I'm here, while I have the power of intention, how can I have as much of the energy as I need, and the right energy? So instead of having, for example, energy of anger is an energy, fury is an energy, sexual arousal is an energy, so is the energy of Kundalini. Choose your energy. Choose what energy you're going to focus on arousing. That's the power of the mind. So either we decide, I know, I want to do meditation, I want to do yoga, I want to come to satsang, I want to do seva, I want to chant japa, I want to be on a spiritual path, I want that energy, that spiritual energy to rise within me. Or you decide, I'm going to get that guy, how dare he do that to me, I'm going to find him, I'm going to kill him. It's up to you. Which way do you go? Both ways, energy. At the end of the day, one of those energies keeps the body, the mind, the experience of the self vibrant, alive, connected, peaceful, blossoming and flowering in love. The other keeps you contracted, separate, exhausted. Never mind heart attacks and all sorts of other fun things. So we decide, what type of energy do we want to bring in our lives? Now. That's the power we have. And to decide, how do I want to use my energy? Because there's also energy that is just the product of being alive. Life force, we call it pran. Pranayam is working with it. Pranayam is not just the breath. It's actually the pran, which is more than breath. It's the actual energy of the life force that moves in us. When we talk about ojas, the energy of the body, what do you want to do with it? We've all got it. Do you want to let it be dissipated through temper tantrums and fighting and too much sex and all the other sorts of things that dissipate the ojas? Or do you want to conserve it within the being and use it for spiritual growth? That's up to us. What happens to the energy after we die is not up to us. But what do we do with the energy we've been given? And how do we fill ourselves with more of the type of energy we want? That's up to us. And going back to the first question of, surrounding yourself with negative people, well, this also is a choice that you make. When you know that we're energetic receivers, when you know that even when my intention is to transmit, I'm still on a subtle level receiving. And when you know that transmitting, especially trying to warm up a really cold environment many, many hours a day, every day, gets very tiring. Well, we have to keep asking ourselves then, what situations do I want to be in? Do I want to be in situations that are filling me with the energy I want? Situations where I can exhale into receiving. Situations where I can really just take a deep breath and say, yeah, give me some of this. And be in that moment and receive. That I know I'm going to walk away filled with what I want. Or do I surround myself with people who are gossiping and who have values that are not what my values are, and who are just, talking about all kinds of nonsense, and that's also energy. And I'm absorbing that. And so this is a really important choice that we make, in the same way that when we embark on a spiritual path, same time we start to do yoga. what we eat becomes very important, right? Suddenly you start thinking about sattvic food. Many people turn to vegetarianism, veganism when they embark on a yogic path. We learn about the yamas, the niyamas, ahimsa. Oh, okay. We learn about the impact of, dead bodies on our body, so we change what we eat. But also, even on more subtle levels, we give up maybe things that aren't so good for us, give up habits. My yoga teacher used to say, people would come in and say, oh, I can't do yoga. I can't start yoga yet. First I have to quit smoking and then I'll be able to do yoga. And he always used to say, just start yoga. Because what's going to happen is you're going to reach a point where you automatically stop all of the other things that you were doing because they can't coexist. Don't try to quit in the vacuum and then do yoga. Start doing yoga. And suddenly those things will stop being enjoyable. I remember when I was young, I used to go to the gym and run on a treadmill. And I did it in the name of exercise, but really it was just, it was stress release, and I would really push myself and push myself and push myself until I just thought I was going to die. And I started also doing yoga. And one day, and there was a period of time, many, many, many months, maybe even a year or so, that I did both. And one day I walk into the gym, and I'm face to face with the treadmill. And this voice in my head literally said, you want me to do what for the next hour? And I turned around and walked out. And it's not that treadmills aren't great. It's not that walking or running isn't great and can't coexist with doing yoga. It's that for me, it had to do with an aspect of me, that stress, that pushing myself, that never happy with, what I looked like or how healthy I was or whatever, that no longer went with the me who was doing yoga. And I mention this when we speak energetically, because the more you surround yourself with people who are positive, it's like the more you start eating good, healthy, sattvic food, and then you go out for burgers and fries, and you just feel sick, and you feel sick in your mind, and you feel sick in your stomach, and you get up to meditate the next day, and you can't because you're burping, and your digestive system is all wrong, and your whole emotional system is all wrong because all of that energy of death. And slowly, automatically, you drop those things because this practice, this energy is so much more valuable to me. And so as we take care of the food that's going into our bodies literally, because we know it turns to energy. Whatever I swallow, it turns to energy, and it's either going to be beautiful energy or it's going to be really lethargic, horrible energy of indigestion. In the same way, we have to be really careful about the energy we surround ourselves with, because it also goes in. And it also impacts us. And so whether it's the movies we watch, the TV shows we watch, the music we listen to, the news that we see on Facebook or online, the people we hang out with, all of that creates energy. And so as we realize that we are these energetic receivers, you have to be very careful of what energy you're receiving. We can't always avoid it. That's where we turn on our internal energetic transmission system. But as much as we can, surround yourself. This is, when we talk about satsang, I always define it as in the presence of truth. But it also very frequently refers to just the power of association and the power of associating with people who are all on the same path. So if I look around this room, you all come from so many different countries and places and speak different languages, and so many different things have brought you here. You've walked in alone, or you've walked in with one person or two people, and yet there's a community in here of people who value the same thing. And that satsang, that power of association, is very, very important. Because energetically you pick it up. Go to a dance hall where people are getting drunk and, whatnot. You pick up that energy. You come to satsang, you pick up that energy. So the universe will take care of what happens after you die to the energy. But we are responsible for taking care of it while we're here. Have a beautiful rest of your evenings, and we'll see you all tomorrow.